We are now joined by former Mets general manager Jim Duquette. And Jim, from what they have in the organization right now, how do you expect the Mets to adjust to life without Edwin Diaz?
Well, listen, I felt like the bullpen was a little short already. Now there's a huge gaping hole, right? And I think when you look at just handling the back end of the bullpen short term, they have two really good options, experienced options, not to the level of Diaz, and that's in Ottavino and David Robertson. Robertson's had over 100 saves in his career. I think he's the logical guy. He holds runners well. There's some nuanced things that you have to look at in that ninth inning with the new rules. He holds runners a lot better than Ottavino does. Ottavino's mostly a guy that gets righties out really well with that big sweeping slider. And Ottavino, he has the ability to close out too. So if there's a matchup that Buck likes, he may use him in that closer situation. But I think those are the two likely guys that end up, at least in the early going, filling the role.
All right, Steve Cohen is trying to win now while also build up a farm system. You just said that the bullpen was already short, so how likely will Cohen and the Mets front office have to dip into the Amazins pool of prospects if a closer on a bad team becomes available during the regular season?
Yeah, well, that's the interesting thing. When will that happen? I don't think you're going to see a closer or a top reliever be available until June. And I think that's the hard part is you're waiting for David Bednar in Pittsburgh is going to get a lot of play early on. Old friend Trevor May in Oakland, who didn't pitch that great last year, and he had the health issues, but he may be available earlier rather than later. But I think you're going to have to wait to get the quality relievers. Wait till maybe the Brewers are out of it, and you can get a Devin Williams as an example. But I think the hard part for the Mets is giving up a top prospect for a reliever, a top reliever. It has to be the right one. The likelihood would be they get another good, maybe seventh or eighth inning guy in addition to another quality piece. Maybe it's an offensive piece, and they dangle one of their top prospects. I would not do, and I don't think the Mets would take one of their top guys and just solely trade it for a closer. And I wouldn't rule out anything here with the Mets, but in that particular situation, I think it might have to be a bigger deal for them to part with one of their top guys.
Jim, chemistry is always tough to measure, but we started the show by hearing Brandon Nimmo discuss what it felt to the team to hear Edwin Diaz come out of the bullpen and hear those trumpets. How much of the Mets' identity took a hit with Diaz now expected to miss the entire season?
Well, there's no question. Listen, we know with him coming into the game what that was, that whole scene. We know in the bullpen within that clubhouse what he was like and how big of a loss that is off the field. Think they have guys within that will step up, that have stepped up. And so, I think this, as the season goes on, not that they'll forget about him, but his absence won't be as glaring.